What's going on, my name is Eason, welcome back to another video, and today, guys, we're going to get into the global system of agriculture. So we're going to get into commodity change, and how agriculture affects the world and the business and stuff like that. So there is a global supply chain that food and agricultural products are a part. So as we can see here on our supply chain management picture, we have our raw materials that go to the supplier, then the manufacturer, to the distributor, and then the retail location, and then, of course, the customer. And it's a chain because it all connects to each other. Now, general food is developed in your more developed countries, and then they go to your less developed countries, or they'll from your more developed countries to that same country or to other more developed countries. And we'll see what our LDCs are going to be growing a little bit more than our general food, the stuff that we need to survive in. Now, some countries have become highly dependent on one or more export commodities. This may lead them to monocropping, which then can lead to economic or environmental issues. And these issues are like pollution and soil erosion. So let's explain it. I want to actually explain this a little bit because this may not make so much sense to you. I'm taking this right out of the course and exam description, actually. So, countries that are highly dependent on one or more export commodities, and these may be LDCs or MDCs. So, let's say a country is making tons of money off this one crop. However, they export multiple crops. This could lead them to just start making one crop on certain farms. We can say it's wheat. And if they harvest wheat enough, they do this multiple times a year. So they double crop, or they get more land for wheat, or they use fertilizers, chemicals, all this stuff. That could lead to environmental issues. And those issues, like we said here, is pollution. And then over farming, maybe using too much water, that can lead to soil erosion as well. So these are issues that countries can face when they're highly dependent on one or more export commodities. And a commodity is basically kind of like, let's say, a product, or yeah, something like that, a business product. Now, farmers also grow luxury crops because they have a higher chance of being bought than local crops, and this contributes to that. So they may be highly dependent on those luxury crops, and they start monocropping, leading to that. So that's kind of an example of it. Now, you may not know what a luxury crop is, and that is all right. We're going to actually go over a little bit of what luxury crops are. So these are crops that are highly bought slash in demand, but not necessary for survival. So you can live without them. And these are usually from your low latitude states to your high latitude states. So South America, Africa, Australia, Southern Asia. Those are, and then they're going to be going up to the United States, Canada, China, Russia, Europe, Northern Africa. So our high latitudes. And that's the pattern that we see with our luxury crops. And some of these crops is like coffee, sugar, banana. These are crops that you don't necessarily need for survival, but they're in demand. Now, in LDCs, luxury crops may be created by poor farming practices, which can lead to problems like soil erosion. If we look back on our last slide, which I'm not going to pull up, soil erosion is an environmental issue. And luxury crops are very frequently made by poor farming practices. Now, these practices, I didn't label them. You could probably find these in a textbook. But these practices don't lead to problems just like soil erosion. We could see issues in finance. Maybe these people are spending too much or spending too little, so that could affect the crop as well. They're in demand, so they're probably going to be making a ton of these compared to those not in demand. Now let's get into global food distribution. So the main elements of global food distribution networks are affected by certain things, and these are political relationships. So a country, let's say, let's say country, we'll just say states in Africa. let's say they export food to a country like China. If they don't have good political relationships with China, do you think they're going to distribute their food to China? Maybe not as much as they would if they had good relationships. If they have great relationships, they may ship more, do special favors with the food, trust them more, say, okay, we'll pay you later, stuff like that. And this could lead to problems actually later on, different trust issues and economic problems. And think back to colonialism, supranationalism, and neocolonialism. So these political relationships are, think of trust with neocolonialism. I think it's Ethiopia and India, or in Ethiopia and China. Actually, probably both of those countries in Ethiopia. They have farms and agriculture and other practices, not just agriculture there. That in those Africa countries, especially Ethiopia. So those political relationships can determine food distribution. Maybe Ethiopia will give them stuff because they pay the country. And then we have infrastructure. So infrastructure. This dictates whether food can be distributed, it can be processed. Sometimes this determines if it can just be grown. Maybe it has to be grown in a certain area, maybe like a greenhouse or something like that. The less developed the country is, the less infrastructure we're going to see. And then, of course, we see patterns of world trade. What do countries want? What's in demand? Who is buying? Who's not buying? Stuff like that is going to impact our global food distribution. Hey, and that's the end of the video. This is a really quick one, kind of simple as well, but there's actually a ton of it. So yeah, do the skill check on the screen. It'll help you. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new. It really does help me out, and you can change your mind later on. Like the video. It really does help me out, guys. It does. Join my Discord server to teach other people new things or learn something new yourself. Leave a comment with your criticism. I love criticism. And yeah, that's the end of the video. I got nothing else for y'all, so adios.